Eventually, I found myself having feelings for him that I've never felt for anyone in my life. And that led to quite an emotional conversation where he ended up telling me that he struggles with his feelings a lot. And that other than his sister, who he is very close to, I am the only person in the world whose feelings really affect him. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In case you're new here, my name is Kim. This is Career Union. So I know that sometimes it can be confusing and you may not believe that things are happening because you're not seeing movement in your 3D. But I have to remind you that your 3D, your reality, your life's experience is always a reflection of you. And it's a reflection of things that you're aware of and not so much aware of. It's a reflection of things from your conscious mind as well as your subconscious. So it's not your fault. Nothing that you experience, which is all that a manifestation is, nothing that you experience is your fault. Sometimes when people start to learn about conscious creation and they start to realize that their life is reflecting them and they realize that if I just change, then my reality will change, but then they're not seeing a change. It's because they're focused and aware too much on the outside. And you have to remember that everything that's happening outside of you in your experience is a reflection of you because everything works through you. It's not that it's being attracted to you, it's working through you. You are a divine, perfect, you are a masterpiece. You are a multi-dimensional being. Up until this point in your life, you probably thought that this is just the way life is and that everything is solid and fixed, but you're actually energy. Everything and everyone and everything is pure energy. And you are also consciousness, God, the light, the creator, name that whatever you choose to, infinite intelligence, having a human experience intentionally. Why? So you can learn that, or so you can experience things, and also so you can come back to yourself, come back to pure unconditional love. Okay, so anyway, you are the divine having a human experience. You're not separate from that. You're multidimensional. Again, not to be redundant, but you have to remind yourself of this all the time. So one of my clients experienced his specific person telling him, other than the closest person in their life, you're the only one that really affects me with my feelings. I may have got some of those words wrong, but I intend that today's session will inspire you to not give up on what's in your heart of hearts, in your soul, because you wouldn't be able to feel something unless that existed. I want to remind you that, again, everything is not fixed or set in stone. In the movie The Matrix, in the scene where Neo walks in to meet the Oracle and the little boy is on the floor and he bends the spoon, and Neo asks, how did you do that? And he says, because there is no spoon. It's okay if that's how you choose to believe and see things. That's totally fine. Your belief system is your belief system. But I do believe that whatever you do choose to believe, it should be with pure power, which is unconditional love, because that is what God is. So do no harm. But instead of thinking that there is no spoon, realize that there are infinite spoons. Okay. So you are made up, your body is made up as of right now, because who knows in the future what they'll discover, is made up of 7 octillion atoms. And if you were to take the solid particles of everyone in the world and condense that down, it would be in the size of a sugar cube. I'm not making this up. This is literally science. This is quantum physics. So you can look that up if you'd like. But anyway, I intend that today's video will help. It's my client's testimony because he's been wanting to be with his specific person for a couple of years. He's been watching my videos. And after we met, he had a significant experience, very meaningful, very loving with his mirror soul. Before I do read this, if you do love my content, Please do like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps me grow. If you want me to be your coach to help you manifest anything related to your specific person, email a short description to kim@coreunion.com. Go to my website, coreunion.com, book either a single session or a package. My scheduling assistant, Olga, will get back to you with my next available session. Most people that I do share success stories of are on a package. That's what they chose to do. The only difference between a package and a single session is that you save money if you buy more than one package. But if you only had one package, you pay the single session rate. It's that simple. So I'll go ahead and read this. And I know for a fact that it's going to inspire you not to give up on your true love, but to give up on your limiting beliefs and your fears and your doubts, which is what was reflected back to you from your specific person. And before I read this, I want to add something. A client of mine, and I'm not meaning to laugh at them, but it's just that it's so obvious, but our egos really complicate things. My client heard from his mirror soul after I think it's been a couple years that they were apart. So they got into it a little bit in the conversation. And she said something to him along the lines of, I just don't think you get it. I don't think you get it. Like they talked. He learned the information, the data that he got was that he wasn't blocked as he thought he was. And even if he was blocked, he was no longer blocked. She picked up right away. They had a conversation. It was a good amount of time that I mean, they talked, I think, well over a couple hours. They got caught up, in other words. And then when he started asking questions about what happened, so he's still bringing the past in. It's okay to talk about the past, by the way. That's not the message I'm trying to share. But so he was telling me on the previous session to this, he was telling me, I just don't get it. I just don't understand. And then of course we went through things. And anyway, he was being very consistent. And then she ended up reaching out. So at some point in the conversation, she's like, I just don't think you understand. I still think that you don't get it. And so we're talking. And now he's confused because she's saying that to him because it's so precise, it's throwing him off. And I'm saying, all you ever in the previous session, you continued to say, I just don't get it. I just don't understand. And then she's reflecting back to you, I just don't get it. I just don't understand. She's simply reflecting back something that's active within you. So he did the inner work enough, he was consistent enough to experience the communication, but now he's getting thrown off because the reflection is so precise. Okay. So anyway, let me read this. Dear Kim, first off, I just have to say that watching your videos for the last 2+ years have been helpful in their own right. But since we had our first session, I'm blown away by the progress that has been made in my situation. To sum it up in a reader-friendly way, in case you want to share this with anyone else, I have been in love with one of my best friends for several years now. It was one of those things where we started out doing the same work as each other and then became friends. Eventually, I found myself having feelings for him that I've never felt for anyone in my life. I have been through some toxic relationships previously where I required the validation of the other person to make me feel like I mattered. But after getting out of those situations and really working on my self-esteem, I was able to love myself for the first time ever. And so when these feelings for my friends started developing, I knew that this love that I felt was completely different than anything I'd ever felt before. I honestly didn't even realize that it was possible to love somebody this much. In the last couple of years or so, this friend of mine and I spent more and more time together. And even though I was keeping my feelings for him, other people around us were picking up on whatever energy was between us and thinking that we were a couple, strangers and friends alike. There were a lot of mixed signals and hot and cold behavior from him, and it was often very confusing. In addition to that, I started recognizing a lot of weird synchronicities around the both of us that seemed to point to us being meant for each other. Some of it was silly stuff like inadvertently wearing matching colors or developing similar wounds or even ailments. He told me a story really quickly that something happened without going into specifics to his left elbow and it was itching. And anyway, so there was a little situation. And then a week or so later, he was at work and he was talking to his mirror soul, and his mirror soul was like looking kind of bothered, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And he rolled up his sleeve, the same elbow. And he said that something happened anyway. It was really bothering him and itching him. So things like that. Anyway, other times it was more surreal things like finding similar photos from our individual childhoods or learning that we'd both been through almost identical health issues when we were younger. By the way, some people don't necessarily have these kinds of synchronicities with their true love. So it's okay if you don't. You don't have to get in your feelings if you're like, I don't have those synchronicities. Don't worry about that. So at the beginning of the year, I finally confessed to him how I felt about him. And instead of rejecting me completely as I was fearful of, he told me that I was his best friend and that he loved me and didn't want to lose me in his life. We even grew a bit close afterwards, and there was even more vulnerability from his end as well. Unfortunately, some things happened in both our lives and with our families that made it very difficult for us to be around each other. And so some distance grew between us for several months. And that was really difficult for me. And it put me into a really dark place for a while. But I'd started doing the inner work and meditation exercises that you and I discussed in our first session and eventually started to feel a bit more positive and happy. This was not only a boom for my personal happiness, but it rippled out into my physical health and social life as well. I was starting to feel the best about myself and my life that I'd felt in a long time. Anyway, after several months of distance and strained silence, we eventually ended up attending an event together a couple of months ago that we'd been planning since last year. During that time, we spent most of the day together, and it was so relaxed and playful and fun. He even commented that we were having such a good time together that other people around us probably thought we were a couple. We ended up having such a great time that he suggested that we go on a trip together later this year. That blew my mind because he had always been kind of hesitant about committing to plans for future for anything. So we planned this trip for the both of us for the fall, and that led to quite an emotional conversation where he ended up telling me that he struggles with his feelings a lot and that other than his sister, who he is very close to, I am the only person in the world whose feelings really affect him. I can't even describe how hard that hit me. I was just mind boggled. And that hit me hard too during our session. I got the chills with it. So now things feel like they're going well, and I'm in a good place where I'm doing the inner work and realizing that the how and when of this are not in my control. So I'm just letting everything unfold the way it is supposed to. And the more relaxed and detached I am about it, the better it seems to get. In addition to all that progress, the benefits of my inner work seem to have rippled out to help other people in my social circle. I've had friends recover from health problems, overcome financial issues, and I've been able to spend time with people I haven't seen in years. All in all, the last few months have just been a whirlwind of progress that is almost unbelievable. And I want to say thank you for your guidance and help. And to anyone else, I would say be patient, do the inner work, and trust the process. It's hard sometimes, and sometimes it's really difficult. But if you do the work and trust your heart, the changes you can manifest will seem almost miraculous. Thank you, Kim. And I look forward to seeing what progress I've made when our next session comes around. And thank you so much. That session that we had together was so inspiring for both of us. I loved hearing, obviously, there was a lot more during the session. There's a lot more details that I learn about. And of course, for the sake of their privacy, I'm not going to share it to the public, but I can tell you that when you really truly in the core of you, that's why I named the channel Core Union. When you know in the core of you, when you know, this is my true love, this is my soul, this is my heart. It's like they're imprinted on you. You're imprinted in their soul and in their heart as well. So you really want to learn how to let go of the words that were said in any of the circumstances that happened that you experienced in the 3D, because those things only happened for you to turn around, look at it, and make a decision and choose. And then once you choose and you select out of the infinite choices, then you stick to that decision. And if you catch yourself contradicting the decision that you made, you get back in alignment. Okay. So I can help make this much easier on you and for you if you'd like. Please do affirm down below. I trust and I know that I am a divine expression of the infinite. I know that all of my desires are done, especially with me and my true love. I love you so much. Have an amazing day. I intend that this helped. Bye.